Hey everyone, thank you so much for stepping in, checking out this video. We are at One Piece chapter 1054. I'm super excited for this review. This chapter was amazing. I thought it was incredible. So let's just get right into it. So first off, I just want to say we have this awesome color spread of the four emperors. We have Buggy, Shanks, Blackbeard, and Luffy. I love this color spread. It is awesome, not only because it has all the four emperors, but we get official colors on Luffy. I know a lot of people thought that when he's in Gear 5, or if you want to call it his awakening, his color scheme is white in this, but some people did yellow. Some people, did some other colors, but officially it is white. So that's cool to see from Oda. And then moving on in the beginning of the chapter, we are in Wano, of course, and Green Bull is taking on the Red Scabbards. We do have two Scabbards that are missing, and that is Kinemon and Kiku. I don't know where they are. Kinemon makes sense because he's with his wife, probably, rekindling their marriage and relationship and getting to spend time with each other because they didn't really have that before. Kiku obviously is injured, so she's probably recovering from that. But we have Raizo, Denjiro, Inu, Neku, and Kawamatsu. Obviously, like I said, plus Shinobu. But it's really cool seeing them fight because Green Bull is pretty badass. He shows off not only his ability to become like a plant and be a Logia, and he is the plant, but he also kind of lets us know how he sees the world. And it's honestly a little bit more extreme than Akainu. It seems like it. And the way that he's talking about it, it kind of seems like he is more extreme than Akainu. I don't know where they're going to go with this. And he's kind of being made into a villain that we are not supposed to like. So it's pretty interesting to see this character coming in hot with his takes on the world and how he views everything. I mean, he's saying that it doesn't matter if he kills any of the people of Wano because they're not aligned with the world government, which is on so many levels tyrannical. It's, it's very Nazi of him. So it's kind of interesting that he has this take. And I really think someone's going to come and beat the crap out of him because he's such a good villain, but he's not the top villain. So I really think that someone's going to come and just really hurt him. And it will be satisfying because he has such a hateful view of the world and what needs to happen in this world in order for there to be justice and order. So obviously, like I said, Yamato comes in and fights him, which is really cool because Yamato announces that she's Kaido's son. He's very confused about it, doesn't really know what to make of it, which is kind of interesting because he doesn't really know that he has a son, or maybe he knows that he has a daughter, so he's confused that it's a son. But it kind of shows that the world doesn't really know what's even going on with Kaido and his own family. So there's probably a lot more to learn still about Kaido and his family, just because the world government doesn't even know about Kaido's family. And then what I think is awesome is Momo comes in, tries to rescue the day, tries to do a Boro Blast, but he doesn't know how to. He can't just make it happen out of thin air. I think that was awesome. I love that he comes in and tries to protect his nation. He is the ruler of them, and he's coming in to protect them even if he dies. And he can't get the Boro breath off, but he goes and tries to chomp on him. And then Yamato and the other Scabbards try to go and help him out, but he tells them to stay out of it. So I'm really actually curious to see what happens with Momo and if he's able to somehow get to Green Bull and figure out how to accomplish his goal without maybe killing the people of Wano, maybe even giving up his own life to Green Bull so no one else can die. The next part of this chapter is incredible. I cannot believe that this just happened. It blew my mind when the next panel is Shanks's ship, the Red Force, in the waters of Wano. Now, I don't really want to break things down step by step, panel by panel, but this is Shanks, and I really think that it is a moment that is deserved to really break it down. I like to be more general with these reviews and just kind of tell my theories and what I think is going on in certain places and not really break each individual panel down. But since it's Shanks, it's so legendary that he's back in the story right now. We get to see him live. This is awesome. So I'm kind of going to do that. So obviously, like I said, we see his ship in the seas of Wano. We see his flag, and then we see a silhouette of him standing, staring at the land of Wano, talking about being back in Wano and how Momo and Hiyori must be all grown up. And when the last time he was there was when they were sending off Odin back to his country. We then get to see the stars of Shanks' crew, which I think is awesome. We get to see Lucky Roo. He's saying he wants to go see Luffy. We got the guy with the monkey, and then we have Yasop, who he says he's not ready to meet Usopp, which I don't know. I cannot wait to see that because I don't know what's going to happen. Something really needs to happen with Yasop and Usopp because I think Usopp is not going to be happy with Yasop for leaving them. So I don't know what Oda has for their relationship, but I can't wait till they meet up together finally. Also, I really think it's interesting that one of the members mentions that Kid is there too, and he even mentions the fight that they had with him. So I wonder if once Luffy eventually meets up with him, if Kid is there, if somehow that's going to be brought up. I think that would be really cool. And then finally, we get to see the man, the myth, the legend. We get to see Shanks, and he is looking at the newspaper. He gets to see Luffy with his new bounty poster, with his new bounty. And it's really great just to see Shanks again. Not in a cover page, but in the story. And then it shows some flashbacks of them getting the gum fruit, and then Luffy eating it, and then Shanks losing his arm. And then it shows some subordinates of Shanks, and they're talking about Luffy, and they're saying that the top officers have a past with Luffy. They also mention, which I think is cool, because I love when they describe different characters who they haven't met, and they say that Luffy's like a rampaging demon monkey. I think that's hilarious because it's true. That is kind of how he is. But then unfortunately, Shanks mentions that he's not going to have a reunion with Luffy, and that he kind of wants to go after Bartolomeo since he's taking over his territories in the name of Luffy, and he wants to take care of that. And then this is the kind of stuff that I love. Shanks walks over, sits down next to Benny Beckman, who I love that duo. I think they're awesome. I really want to see them fight together side by side. I think that would be so cool to see because we don't really get to see two people team up and fight side by side too often, because that would be like Garp and Roger or Garp and Sengoku or even Zoro and Luffy. I feel like it doesn't happen too often, but I think seeing Shanks and Ben Beckman fight together, I think that would be incredible. But we see Shanks sit down with Ben Beckman at a table, pours a glass of sake, and takes a sip and tells him, "Hey Beck, isn't it about time to go and claim it?" And then you see Ben's face, and then Shanks says, "The One Piece." I think that is crazy. I don't know what's going to happen with this. Honestly, I didn't think Shanks was interested in the One Piece at all. I think if he actually wanted the One Piece, he would have already tried at this point, but now he's wanting to go after it. I think because he knows Luffy might be the key to unlock it. I'm not really sure, because it's not what we think it is. And if it's not what we think it is, maybe it's some sort of geographical thing where Luffy's the only one that can get them into it or something like that. But again, it's amazing to see Shanks. I'm so glad he's back. I freaking love Shanks and Ben Beckman and the whole crew. It's so awesome to see them. They're so epic. But that's not the end. The end shows Navy headquarters. The last thing that happens is they kind of talk about everything going on in the world. And during the reverie, we end up finding out that people have been calling Sabo the Flame Emperor and that he's a champion for the world, stirring rebellion all over the world, having people rebel against the government, which is pretty awesome. And I actually have a theory about Sabo, so I'm going to come out with a video about that pretty soon, which I'm super excited about. But then they also talk about Vivi and how Cobra Nefertari was assassinated. We see it in the newspaper, they're talking about it, and apparently Sabo is the one who did it, which we all know that did not happen. It wasn't Sabo. I'm sure it's probably some agent of the world government, or maybe a CP agent who was sent by Emu or someone high up in the world government to kill Cobra because he opposes some of the different things that the world government stands for. And it's just an easy way to get him out of there. But now this kind of makes sense if they pin it on Sabo, because what is the world government going to want to do now? The world government is now going to want to send troops after the Revolutionary Army, making them the number one enemy of the world. Not the pirates, but the revolutionaries. Which this is very interesting because before they didn't have any reason really to go up against the revolutionaries because everything happening with the pirates in the world. But this was such a big deal where they came to Marijois, tore the place up, rescued Kuma, killed Cobra, which we know is not true, but did so many different things that now they can't ignore them. They have to go to war with them. I think Akainu's not going to be happy about going to war with them. And I think, honestly, it kind of seems like Akainu might turn on the world government at some point. We'll see what happens with that. But I think this is very interesting for the story of One Piece, that they're pinning it on Sabo, and that Cobra is obviously dead. But they do mention that they were able to rescue Kuma. They do mention that they think that the reason why Green Bull and Fujitora weren't able to defeat them is because they didn't want to destroy any of the Holy Land and they didn't want to go all out. But it's kind of funny because then it kind of like, don't make excuses for them. So I don't know who's stronger in that situation. I do think that the Admirals are still pretty strong, and I think they could have taken them. I think that does have some merit where they didn't want to destroy any of the Holy Land. But I do think it's interesting that Vivi's missing. So I think that she's probably with the revolutionaries. Not really sure, but I mean, that's my guess at this point. And she probably knows that it wasn't Sabo who killed her father. And she will probably be the one to tell the world that that's the case. Now, what's also really interesting is the Navy has a criminal affairs unit, and the chief is named Kurama Tensei, also known as Black Horse, which I think is really interesting. But he's looking into all the things that happened and kind of investigating all the affairs that happened during the Reverie. They also talk about the attempted murder on St. Charlos, and that St. Morsgard, he excused the criminals. But then they also mention after that in the Holy Land, the gods' knights have jurisdiction to mediate disputes. So I'm really curious to see who the gods' knights are. Maybe they're talking about the Elder Stars, but I'm really not sure who the gods' knights are. Maybe there's some new, really strong people that they're going to introduce into the story. And if they are really strong and capable, even as strong as the Admirals, then maybe the Admirals will have to take a side. Maybe Akainu does go on the side of Garp and them, which I didn't think was possible, but I'm kind of seeing that maybe he will. And even maybe Green Bull will take the opposite side. They also do mention that all these things that are happening are linked to Sabo. They say that his flames of rebellion are spreading all over the globe, which I think is really cool. I have a video that I want to make about this, about Sabo's role in the New World and all this, and what's going to happen after the story. Basically, all over the world, there are people rebelling because of Sabo, which is really crazy. But then the last thing we see is Akainu saying, we'll strike back and return fire on all fronts, which is obviously interesting because I think they're going to start a war with the Revolutionary Army because they don't want anyone turning on them. So I think Akainu's going to forget about the pirates for now and focus on the Revolutionary Army. I'm so excited to see what's going to happen with the rest of the story. I think we're just getting into the best parts, and I'm excited for next week's chapter, and then the week after, and the week after. It's awesome. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Please like, share, subscribe, do all that fun stuff, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.